And our correspondent Jessica Taneja is joining us from New Delhi. Good morning, Jessica. The economic survey we saw explains how and why there was decline in the global foreign direct investment and how that adversely impacted FDI inflows into India. Could the budget then, to your mind, offer cues on ways to reverse that and get FDI inflows back up?
Well, if you read the report as I have, you'd see that the FDI inflows have been relatively slower to come into India in the last financial year compared to what we saw in the financial year before that, just 2023. Now, a lot of reasons attributed to the slow FDI inflows into India, and particularly pointing to the global conflicts, both in Ukraine as well as Middle East, that has hampered the supply chains through and through. And also, of course, allowing India to make more resilient supply chains to that effect. But talking particularly about FDI inflows, now, Munmun, it's important to point out that the economic survey says the impact is largely also due to decline in the global FDI, which has gone down to nearly $1.4 trillion, approximately $1 trillion less than the last financial year that we saw. So, of course, a lot of skepticism in the companies overseas to invest, particularly both in Europe and the US, given the kind of attention they have had to give to the current, conflict zones. So, and keeping how the entire maritime route also gets affected very frequently due to piracy efforts, and you've seen India jump in, to help at those points to thwart those attempts. And at the same time, you'd know that roughly more than half of the global trade is actually conducted on the water. So, if that is affected, of course, naturally, there's a concern around investors as to how this will move forward. But more or less, if you look at the services sector, which would see a rise in the coming future, especially India being looked at as a crucial country where AI could be utilized to the maximum with the kind of training of the workforce and also the capacity of its young population to work and be trained at that particular skill. So, of course, India would be a crucial destination for AI import as well. And with that help, we could see some FDI increase. But in the traditional sectors, we've seen some decline in the past when it comes to technology, the digital space, when it comes to the telecommunications and other aspects. India would continue to see a certain increase. But the last financial year hasn't been offering that great momentum to India when it comes to its FDI inflows.
Absolutely. So that is a challenge that India would like to address, but a lot depends on the external environment, like you said. Also, interestingly, China has been mentioned 130 odd times in the economic survey. And that suggests that as the US and Europe shift their immediate sourcing away from China, it is more effective to have Chinese companies invest in India and then export the products to these markets rather than importing directly from China. So do you then expect the budget to give a framework for India to become the one in China plus one, even for Chinese companies?
Well, yes, if you read through the economic survey, it does mention China quite a few times. And that is because China is India's largest trading partner, despite the trade deficit, which is trying to be corrected. Now, if you look at India's electronic imports that have increased over the have increased over the years, India's dependency, particularly on toys being imported from China, has also declined massively from 2023, which was around 90 odd percent, to now down to 46%, where India is trying to become a competitive player when it comes to the international toys market. That is one sector. Even with electronics, and if you see the manufacturing of iPhones in India, about $15 billion worth of iPhones were manufactured in India, and that's approximately 14% of the global production of iPhones, both in Telangana and in Tamil Nadu factories. So that has seen a massive increase in terms of what India is capable of and how it can less and less depend on China when it comes to imports, or at least, as the economic survey points out, to make the supply chains more resilient and more effortless in terms of not being shocked by external influences like the conflicts. There could be a possible integration, but that would require the Chinese side to come on board and further tense negotiations. As you know, the Chinese economy is not doing that well as well, and as its exports shrink and it continues to deal with deflation, it would have a partner in India when it comes to diversifying its supply chains. And more to say, on how the European American countries, European countries along with America are trying to implement the de-risking strategy. But that de-risking strategy has taken a hold because of the current conflicts, and also not forgetting how climate change has impacted and changed various factors when it comes to global trade in the coming years, particularly as well in the agriculture sector. So India has a lot to do when it comes to also looking at the kind of reforms it needs, from ease of doing business to initiating agricultural reforms, and also making sure that the trade deficit with the Chinese and how to decrease reliance on Chinese imports could benefit India, or further integration into the supply chains that would help the West implement its de-risk strategy and increase its investment in India, and also ensuring that there's more consumption. And once there's more consumption, of course, private investment goes up.
No, absolutely. Well, Jessica, like you're telling us, India is becoming the global destination when it comes to manufacturing, and that's pretty clear in the electronic